Welcome back to Drag the Waters podcast. Two Texas bros dragging the waters for all the cool shit and all the bullshit. We've called ourselves social commentary, political commentary, cultural commentary all in the past, and we do those things, but we're just capable of so much more. I mean, we're also huge nerds and, like living the good life. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, whether you're here with us on the 29th of March or any other day you're going to listen to this. We appreciate it. It's our 10th episode.
Episode 10.
Episode DS.
Yeah.
We are very happy to hit this little milestone of ours because we talked about this podcast probably for 8 months before we even
started.
And then we did like 2 months of like purchasing equipment and setting up a studio, which you'd be surprised how I don't know, say difficult it is to like take a bare bedroom and try to make it into something
beautiful,
at least utile. We got a utile right now.
Yeah, thank you everybody. This is an amazing day for us. So pop the champagne, light up the bubbly. This is the Lurker Mario here, and we're just gonna freeball it. I mean, I'm having a good week. My sister got married. Congratulations to her.
Hey, congrats, Christy.
And life's good. Did a bunch of home renovations all week. Stepping up. Shit, springtime's here. Trees looking good. Neighbors jealous. You know, all the good stuff.
Yeah. So if you like what we do or want to support us, you can give us a like and subscribe on the YouTube where we're at right now. If you want to throw us some change, $5 you can get on our locals, dragthewaters.locals.com, and as soon as we get the email from one of y'all, you get the personalized content.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to pay the money, just give us a comment in the YouTube video with a question or something, and we'll either answer your question or bitch you out if you're being a dick.
For sure.
So, it's all fun and games over here. It's the only reason we do this, man. Fun. And then the potential to, make it big. But before we started recording, I was starting to complain about Disturbed.
The band.
Yeah, I mean, I like Down with the Sickness, and sometimes when it comes on the radio, but I used to hate on them because back in the death metal days, they just weren't hard enough. They had too much melody.
Lame stream.
Pretty much, it's generic. I mean, it's not bad. If you love Disturbed, like I know there's people who love Disturbed. Don't let our tiny opinions offend you unless it's fun for you to be offended. And, by all means, we're all about that trolling hate. But, yeah, they covered some classic song. I can't remember what it was. Oh, they covered Shout by Tears for Fears.
I don't know this song.
Oh, you know the song. It's Shout. Shout, let it all out.
Oh, God.
These are the things we can do.
Now, bro.
Yeah, I love that song. And it came back for me probably about a year ago, several months ago, when it just popped up. And I was like, I want to know this music a little more. And that song always hit me hard. And they did a cover of it. And, I mean, it's probably acceptable to the average Joe rockhead. But for me, an amateur music snob, it really grinded my gears.
No, I feel that.
So, and it's also like Seether covered Simple Man by Skinner. You don't quit covering these classics and cover like a B-side or something,
I guess, man. I think it's just that they're probably just on their way out, and they're like, because a good band will evolve with its music, right? Because it's progressing for itself, and so it's either going to do two things. It's either going to pursue the artistic progression or sell out.
And then you also got like AC/DC and Motorhead that keep writing the same album, every 3 to 5 years.
Well, that's because they found their sound, right? So,
and the sound works.
Yeah, like Weezer. Like I was listening to their new album, and it sounds just like the Blue album. Like I'm just.
But they also write great songs. So
with the same chords, and it's just fantastic.
I mean, I love Jack White too. Of course, he probably consider him to be more eclectic, but it's just good song. Like if you have a sound, if the songs are good, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Especially if the singles are really good.
That's why I'm saying this Disturbed and was Seether.
Yeah, I think
Is that
so.
who you reference?
One of those, grungy, probably, North Dakota white girl bands that they love,
So they're
garbage.
on their way out, and they're like, well, let's play songs that like we liked when we were younger or something like that. Like it really worked for Between the Buried and Me. So I think after their first album or the second album, they put out a compilation cover album. It was like 20 songs, and it was called The Anatomy of, right?
Yeah.
And then it was just a bunch of random ass songs. Like Pink Floyd was in there, Metallica was in there, like, and that was good because it was at the beginning of their career.
But I bet their covers also were like, they probably sounded more like Between the Buried and Me.
Yeah, it wasn't like
Some of these other bands, they do the cover, but the difference is negligible. So they get like this overdone production, and then it sounds like crappy white boy music.
Dude, yeah, this has actually offended me recently. There was like a it was like a commercial or some shit. Like this was super bad. It was Rainbow in the Dark, but it was like some
Dio
crybaby woman singing, "You're a rainbow in the dark." Like it was just bad, dude. I was like, this
They didn't even keep the melody.
No, it was like a sad cut myself in the rain while I cried.
Well, that
cover
one,
of Rainbow in the
one
Dark.
chick covered Rain and Blood, and it's not even the same song. Like it's not. The music's completely different. Just the
Slayer.
lyrics. Yeah. This white girl covers Raining Blood, and it's you wouldn't even recognize it. There was even an interview with Kerry King. He's like, oh, and they put it on. It's like I didn't even know this was Raining Blood.
Wow, dude. I mean, I hope he's getting paid. I hope they're all getting paid.
Well, technically, if you record a cover song, I don't have a problem with bands playing covers at live shows. But why do you have to record and release it when it's not even that different and it's only to be compared to a classic?
Well, just think about Alien Ant Farm, bro. Like, they didn't write a single good song, and they got famous by playing Michael Jackson.
Yeah, they had the top 10 covers of all time. They had the number 2. Number 1, of course, was Hurt by Johnny Cash.
Oh, yeah, well.
I can't even listen to the Nine Inch Nails version of Hurt. So I'm not against all covers. But the Hurt by Johnny Cash was different enough in its performance and done, but still close enough to the original to be considered like a decent cover.
And I'm also a Johnny Cash stan because I understand a lot of his music is covers.
Oh yeah, well all the rockabilly and blues, man. All those old blues guys playing the same song.
Yeah,
like what you did when you were a blues musician is you learned how to play like maybe 3 songs.
the standards. Yeah,
Yeah,
in
and then
quotations.
you just changed the lyrics. So Lionel Hopkins apparently was really good at it because he'd just go from studio to studio and get paid to record these songs, and it's the same tune, different words.
Same. Oh yeah, blues scale. And I understand. I've met some music snobs that don't understand blues because they're like a whole music genre based off of one scale. Period. Question mark.
It's not about
It's the style.
It's not about the technicality.
And the storytelling.
Yeah, it's about the feel. It's about the blues, man.
Yeah.
It's not about freaking notes. It's about coming home, having your wife cheating on another man, and you go grab your shotgun to go shoot her, and your shotgun doesn't even work.
Yeah, dude.
That's the blues.
He's got the blues.
Can't even pay the rent. About to get kicked out on the street.
Yeah.
You
Oh man, I love that song. I think it's by their Smith. I don't like to travel. Can't leave these blues at home or whatever. He's just talking about carrying the blues around with him everywhere he goes, bro. It's
man. No, the blues are good, man. Well, I like a lot of them, and that's what I like. And I like the blues, so you can listen to a lot of it, and it doesn't matter that people are playing like the same stuff because you like the music. You can't always get that with modern music unless you're like a real big fan of something particular. So like, I don't know, man. I just have a thought along this line of like, something about trying to be too original.
Oh yeah.
There's no like if you're gonna be a death metal band, you don't have to be too original. You just gotta be like different enough. It's like you don't need another Cannibal Corpse because there's Cannibal Corpse and like 1,000 other Cannibal Corpse ripoff bands.
Right.
So it's like,
but they got the riffage, or some of them got the riffage.
Well, some of them could be cool because if your first foray into like Cannibal Corpse style death metal is a tertiary band, that might be your favorite band because that's where you get started. Or you might listen to Cannibal Corpse and be like, oh, this is how it started. And then your need for the other bands goes away because now you got the real shit.
Yeah.
Not some stomped on ripoff.
Yeah. Going back to what you just said, like being too original.
Yeah.
I think this happened in a good example. Anybody that listens to Flesh God Apocalypse. So they put out Agony, right? They put out Mafia, and then they put out Agony. Agony was beautiful. It was like their masterpiece. It's like what got them famous, right? And they had their
Is that when I found him at Summer Slaughter?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that album is so good, man.
Yeah. And then after Agony, they dropped
Blast Beats, man.
Labyrinth. And so what they thought got them big in Agony was they had like an opera singer in one or two of their songs.
Hell
and they
yeah.
were like, oh, this was the one that like everyone loved. And it made girls started showing up to our concerts instead of a bunch of sweaty dudes. And so they like overdid that. They like overplayed that hand in Labyrinth, and they pulled back on the like face melting solos, and it was like all melodic, and that album was trash. Like it had some good riffs and there was like points in it, but like none of the songs stuck. I think my favorite song was like a prelude, and it was a classical guitar song with nothing else but classical guitar. And then they added operatics. Like another thing that they do is their last song on each album is the title track, and it's a piano solo. And then for Labyrinth they added like violins and some opera singer and like some orchestral.
Too much, man.
And it was like, no, bro, like all you needed was the piano playing sad and scary. And so when they went back after that one, it was the King, I think it's the name of the next album, they went back to face melting solos, chunky ass riffs,
Chainsaw guitars,
yeah,
bro.
dude. Yeah, and
Blast beats,
and it was beautiful. And yeah, so I mean, I guess they went out on a limb there. They tried to be too original, or they tried something and realized their mistake.
Yeah, I don't listen to that album enough, but it's because I don't have the same musical infrastructure anymore. Well, because my CD player in my car is broken.
Oh.
That's the big thing.
That's your musical infrastructure.
It was, because that's what I do. Just now I got to listen to the radio. Could just throw CDs on in the car, man. Oh, Flesh God, hell yeah. Because I'm an album listener. I'm not, well, if I'm on Spotify, I become more of a singles playlist listener. But I've always liked to like throw on the album and jam the album. Unless the albums are garbage, then I'll go to singles.
From 1 to 13 or whatever.
What?
The tracks. Never mind. That was bad.
Yeah, man. But the Agony was amazing. I actually bought it at that show after seeing them. You know, but then they were good. But yeah, if you're in a band, not that any big band is gonna. Well, they probably would because they get salty about nobodies who hate on them. Especially, I guess if we tweeted at them, be like, "Hey, your cover sucks." Right. Their lead singer David, whatever the hell his name is,
dude. There's one.
He'd be mad.
There's one guy that's really salty. What's his name?
Donald Trump.
No, well, yeah, I'm sure, but I think he's one of the guys from Lamb of God. I could be wrong.
Randy Blythe.
No.
Mark Morton.
Yes, that's the one. That dude.
That guitar player.
Like he's super. I don't understand. He's a. I don't understand.
Some people are just neurotic.
He's
bro.
like both sides, dude. He's like, yeah, I have guns, but I'm also like a crybaby, like leftist tears kind of guy.
The whole point of carrying a gun is so you don't have to be a crybaby.
Dude.
Or it's so you could be a crybaby.
He seems really emotional on the internet. I understand that artists are more emotional than like mathematicians or whatever, but like I was surprised when I started following him for sure.
Yeah, well, I don't even know, man. But yeah, so yeah, quit doing covers. Like this is what I like about John Gallagher from Dying Fetus.
Yeah.
Because he does covers too, but he's like, people need to stop covering Slayer because the Slayer songs are already good. So what he would do is he would take like a good metal track that maybe didn't have good production or something, and then
Streaks of Blood.
And he'd re-record it with better production and put his stink on it, as I like to say. So, and I don't know all the covers. He's done several.
Train.
It sounds way creepy over the headphones, bro.
Does.
It's awesome. But
this house is not haunted.
Yeah.
We haven't done that much magic in here.
Oh man, you do magic every goddamn day. Now, if you're not, maybe not necessarily ritual, but everybody does magic. It's impossible if you have any self awareness at all, you can't help it because you're thinking and living with your will on the universe. So
Yeah. Anything cool going on right now in the magic universe?
in the magic universe, I haven't. I'm gonna have to take some phone calls and get back to you.
Okay.
But I don't know much about the community. I haven't listened to the videos. I kind of fell off because once you, or at least me anyway, if I dive in for like a month, that's enough.
Okay.
Because you start getting the same stuff over and over again. You can go to EA Coetting for like black magic, but it's going to be super markety heavy because he knows how to like sell. And he's selling to like the teenage mall goth, want to curse my enemies, black magic. And it's cringy to me.
Vampire kids, dude.
Pretty much, yeah. I shouldn't be talking I can make fun of and understand like to any sorcerer, magician listening to this, if I'm like poking fun, I don't mean anything bad. I don't like doing this because I'm afraid one of y'all will curse me. That's why I try not to talk shit about magicians, because it could be like the one, like even if they're like terrible magic, that could be the one thing they're good at. And you don't want to cross yourself just because you wanted to think someone was a pussy or whatever.
Right.
So, but
take a joke, whoever's out there, man.
Yeah, and
being
then
too serious.
Yeah. I mean, I like J.S. Garrett. He's he's the most masculine magician I think I've ever seen. Well, that I know about.
And define masculine?
He's just, like, a lot of these dudes are kind of like, they're just like nerdy.
Oh, okay.
But this dude's like, he was in the military, he was infantry.
Okay.
And he's just like no bullshit, like hillbilly from Georgia. And got into black magic, and he goes hard, does animal sacrifice. Well, he sacrifices chickens.
Okay.
That's what he does.
Brutal.
So, and he's like hardcore about it and everything. He does a lot of curses.
Does he own a chicken farm?
Yeah, they raise their own roosters and stuff.
Oh, that's badass.
So like when he wants to do like a full-time ritual for hire now, makes thousands of dollars a ritual. So you can like hit him up for like a wealth ritual. The rite of deification is like his original one that he got big with, where he will summon your own soul to his ritual space and make a blood sacrifice to your soul as if to your own personal demon spirit or whatever.
Whoa.
To empower you.
That's pretty badass.
And he says like it'll supercharge you for about 6 months because he does it a lot for him and his family, his friends. And he thinks that this is how maybe some of the old god kings used to live forever, especially with human sacrifice. Because if a chicken will like vitalize you for 6 months, what happens when you sacrifice like an ox,
right,
or another human being?
Yeah.
And potentially could, like someone who knows how to do this stuff, could potentially live for hundreds or thousands of years.
I know. What was it? The Carthaginians and the Romans would do child sacrifice.
Oof, yeah, pure blood or whatever. It's. I mean, I'm not super big on it. I mean, if I really wanted something, I wouldn't. I mean, there's Santeros and stuff that do the chicken sacrifice all the time and make jokes. Like listen to Joey Diaz do comedy. Talks about his mom getting so pissed off at the Catholic school that he's like, his mom showed up and his Santero showed up with a live chicken. That's how mad she was.
Damn.
Stuff like that. The voodoo practitioners, man.
Yeah, I understand. There's like a double spiritual. There's like Catholic Aztec rituals and shit that people worship over there, and they have like death icons and stuff.
Yeah, they call that like the diasporatic religions. So a lot of there's obviously the Atlantic slave trade and stuff. So a lot of the African culture got in mixing with the Catholic culture, and sometimes they had to do this for like persecution reasons. So they started associating their gods or spirits of the Loa of like Vodun with the different saints and stuff. So finally, I don't know, Saint Michael, Saint Caspian. There's a whole bunch of them that I don't even know of, because I haven't decided on the spirits I want to work. I want to work with the planets because I want to go to the basics.
Okay.
Start with
like Jupiter.
Well, start with Jupiter. Yeah, I've actually done a few invocations, and I skipped the past couple weeks, which is probably bad. But I feel like the magic's already just simple 5-minute words and imagination and intention.
Do you like base it off of like just invoking them, or you try and do it with like alignment and
I'm not
called when the planets get closest to us? I forget that.
I mean, I know retrograde
Approach or
is when
something.
they go away, but basically, if you want to do basic planetary magic with the 7 ancient planetary bodies or wonders or whatever, there's 7 days of the week. So Monday, day of the moon. Tuesday, I don't remember what 2 was associated with, but it's the day of Mars.
Okay.
Wednesday is Woden's day or Odin's day. It's associated with Mercury, just movement and magic and communication. Thursday is Thor's day. It's day of Jupiter. Friday, Freya's day. Day of Venus. Saturday, day of Saturn. Sunday, day of the sun.
Got you.
So I did these rituals on Thursdays when I had the house to myself and I could be loud because I got out of a book, Financial Sorcery by Jason Miller. He's got some good stuff that I want to work with, and it starts off with an invocation and then a chant. So I just read the invocation. Of course, when you read it, you can't just read it flatly. You have to participate. You have to mix the words with your will. So because you want this stuff to happen. That's the whole point of doing magic, is making it more than just saying words. You actually you have to have the desire, the will to change. So I was just reading today the 4, I guess it's like the 4 actions of the Sphinx or whatever. And there's to do, to will, to be silent, and I think maybe to dare. So you got to be willing to do it. You got to take action. You got to be willing. You have to learn how to will, and then you have to learn how to be silent about what you're doing. Because when you speak, when you speak properly, you are engaging in magic. Because magic goes back to the beginning when we first became human beings, like when we first evolved into the human beings that we are today. Potentially with just, the stone ape theory where we started getting mushrooms, the beginning of language, the beginning of religion, the beginning of self-awareness. Something I've been thinking about is I'm starting to become more aware of how this life is all about the hardware. Like,
what do you mean?
Because people think they are somebody. Like, I go through the illusion that I am AJ or Aaron James. So, and it is an illusion. Because, like, if you look at, the dog, your dog or whatever, or start with simple. Let's go with the lizard.
Okay.
The lizard brain, what does it do? It just reacts. Like, it is literally organically programmed. Where I have lizards that live around our air conditioning unit.
Okay.
And I can imagine that sometimes when that machine kicks on, it can shred a lizard. So how do lizards not die? I mean, they're dumb. They don't know. Certain lizards that have the danger response to vibrations of a certain level. So the AC unit starts vibrating. Some lizards scatter and get away from it. Other lizards tolerate it. Those that tolerate it and get shredded die. And so the lizards that live around that AC unit, the ones that get close to it and stand the vibrations, end up dead. So the skittish ones survive. So these are going to be super skittish lizards that just get evolved or whatever over a couple generations. So no self-awareness. It is literally just, if I'm hungry, if I see prey, I eat it. If I sense danger, I run away. When it is time to mate, based off some kind of chemical signal, I get horny and I go to mate. And it's literally just these muscle spasms that signal survival.
Recreate.
And all the only thing that makes it happen is over iterations. Certain spasms are more attractive, so it gets to reproduce more. So his children have the same spasm that's more attractive.
Right.
And so on and so forth. It's really weird.
Okay.
And then you get to the mammalian brain, which is the social brain, which when animals figured out that if we don't act as individuals as much, or we act a little more collectively, it increases our chance of survival again.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have this awareness of, I mean, there's always an external awareness, but now there's like a familial social bond probably propagated through early infantile programming of like, that is my family unit, the smells and stuff. And then you get to like the human brain, which is just, now we have more complex language and ideas, and we ultimately have self-awareness. So it's not just like, this is my family unit. I can be like, I seem like an individual separate from my family unit, and I can leave and go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that with wolves. Wolves are just,
they get pushed out.
I don't think there's gonna be an asshole wolf that's like, you know what? I'm done with you guys.
Yeah, no.
I'm out of here. You don't have that.
There's only outcasts, I believe.
Of course, I think that can only happen because we have survived so well that we had that essentially could be considered a luxury.
Well, yeah, and we've also survived so well that we can have like pathologies and stuff like that without nature just, getting rid of us.
Yeah, with all the extra, what I'd call, and it's all due to it's the brain.
Mm-hmm.
The brain and its evolution has allowed us to have more complex software. But like,
and so you're saying this life is about the hardware. It's about the body.
It's about the body, man. Like, all the stuff that you're like afraid of, that's not like real danger, is like the illusion created. What we call the ego is that you think you're more than, like, I mean, we are technically more than the body and the mind and stuff, but like literally, this body's a vehicle. So like the awareness, how can I explain this? Basically, I'm not against free will. I think free will and destiny are the same things, ultimately, what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, because people are like, what if I'm going to make this decision? You have a preference. It's in your body.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I like this food because it tastes good to me. And other people might not have that taste, maybe because that certain food has certain nutrients or whatever that trigger, better hormonal balance in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a psychological thing, one we're also programmable in the brain, which is there's a parallel harmony between the hardware and the software. So you get neurons that fire, and that gives you different access to like memories in the mind. So there's that kind of preference. But so you have this partially biological hardware mixed with this programming from your environment.
Yeah, a good example is spicy. So apparently spicy isn't a flavor, it's pain. So people that like spicy food like the pain from the heat.
Okay.
So it's like a tolerance or like an enjoyment from that chemical reaction.
Yeah, and I like spicy food. So you have this stuff, and one that's like the whole thing about you. Because when you realize that you're not the body, not the mind, you're just this like awareness that's riding in this organism. Mm-hmm. You can let go a little bit and like, okay, my organism, my vehicle likes this. Let's enjoy it. Let's do this. You can align your lifestyle with this vehicle, but you don't have to be attached to it, because that's another thing is like, these things are going to wear out and it's going to die.
Well, something that I had thought of pretty much after I got introduced to the, infinite dimension theory. It was like scientific, like string theory or something. There's like alternate dimension, infinite reality theory.
Yeah.
I had come up with the idea that we're interdimensional beings.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of the multiverse, right, is that everything that has happened and will happen is happening in an alternate dimension, right? Like the dinosaurs never died, Hitler won World War II, we cured cancer, nuclears, whatever. Any scenario that you can think of, right, has happened in an infinite dimension, because infinity implies that all the possibilities are possible, right? So what I had thought of was that we're interdimensional beings traveling at the speed of real time, in real time. and then based on our decisions, we enter the dimension that aligns with us based off of that decision. So there's a dimension where like we became famous rock stars, right? But obviously in this reality, we didn't choose or make the right sets of decisions to go down that path, right? So now we're here doing the podcast and stuff. And so similarly to what you said earlier about destiny and free will and what is it, like fate? I guess you didn't use the word fate. I'd say they're all intertwined in that path about like you can be whatever it is that you want, but like are you willing to make the sacrifices or go down the path to do that, right? And I think we even talked about this in a couple of our other podcasts based on like not appreciating our, what was it, mobility. I forgot the words you used, or like me not going to college, right? Because I fucked off in high school instead of like going to college. So yeah, I think you are like can do whatever it is that you want. If you got to cure cancer, do it, you know. But like, don't be like, oh, next time, or if only I'd done this, or I'll do it next year, or I'll do it tomorrow, or whatever. Like, if you're not actively pursuing your goals, what is it? I think there's a good one. He's like, be the CEO of your life. If you don't run the company will run you, or some shit like that. And then as far as like perception of yourself, right? Because you were talking about hardware and how we perceive ourselves. So good. I forget where I got this. I don't know. I want to say it was like a monk, but it was like, look at yourself in the mirror, or look at a picture of yourself when you were 10. It's like, are you still that 10-year-old boy? Are you still that 20-year-old man? When you look at yourself in the mirror, are you that person? Like, who do you want to be? And then like pursue that role. I think even Jordan Peterson talks about this, like dress the way that you want to be, project yourself. Yeah. You know, and then also how we talk about being kings. Like if you treat yourself like it royally, you treat yourself like a king who commands respect or whatever, and then doesn't care for the thoughts of, you know, the plebs, you'll give yourself a lot more like power in day-to-day life because little shit won't bother you, and you're like, oh well, I'm fucking on my way. Or you can realize that a lot of these people are just insecure in themselves, projecting it onto you, and that can also give you empathy.
But I think I just stumbled onto the main crux of my earlier point about life is the body. It's about death. It's all about death. Is that when this form dies, my suspicion is that this consciousness is going to localize to another
dimension
form. So maybe I like to think of it linearly because that's how these monkey brains work. Is that this form is going to die, and then somehow my consciousness is going to, and it's not mine. The consciousness is ever present. The universe is. I suspect that the light behind your eyes and the light behind my eyes and all life is the same. It's just that these organisms have evolved the capacity to be aware of that consciousness. So the reason I think I'm me is because of my genetics and my environmental experience. So when I die, my consciousness is going to localize to another form. It might be like a little girl from a different family, maybe in Africa. And then I'm going to think I'm that person when really...
Have you read the Egg? I think it's called The Egg.
No.
It's like a short poem.
Well,
like a short
maybe
story.
If it's like one of those high school reading list things.
No, I mean, I don't know if it's in high school. Somebody showed it to me, and it's like a philosophical exercise where this person, they come out of the egg or some shit like that, and God's talking to him.
Yeah.
And God's like, okay, you just died. You were this, and you died in a car accident, blah, blah, blah. And now we're going to send you back, and you're going to be a little girl in China that's poor or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're going to be this. And after that, you're going to be this. And then once you've experienced all of human experience, then you'll be born and be able to like join the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but so screw the next little girl. When I die, this form and this identity, this mental ego identity, is gonna be left behind.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, when they think about like reincarnation, a lot of magicians, like Damien Eccles and stuff. I mean, I like magic and what it can do for you in a lifetime. They're like, oh, you're gonna harden your aura, and then you're gonna reincarnate or choose not to reincarnate, and they think they're gonna take this ego. Like, I'm going to be born as a little African girl and then remember that I was a white man in the best of times.
No.
You know, that's not how it works.
Who was it, dude? Was it Socrates or Plato? I can't remember. Ancient Greek. It was like, man is born knowing nothing and then they forget everything.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's like they come into the world knowing everything and then, like, it's all taken away from them. That's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah, I've heard some theories where that when we are born as infants, that we do come back with all of our old memories.
And that's why we're crying.
But because of the trauma of being born into a body that can't do anything, it's so traumatic that we forget everything because we get lost in the trauma.
It's like waking up in a dream and you're like, what the fuck was that dream about?
Yeah, because then you're like, you can't do anything because the hardware and the software aren't there yet.
So going back to what I had thought, my theory, I had also
multidimensional theory.
Yes, I had also come up with this idea.
Fun theory, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That the universe wants you to learn a certain lessons or like experience a certain something. Because at the same time, I was thinking about this terrible car accident I got into right before I moved to Washington, and I must have blacked out for like 10 seconds. And I was thinking, what if I died? Like, what if the dimension that I was in, you know, and this also, like, ties in with the Mandela effect and shit, the Berenstain Bears and the Berenstain Bears.
Oh,
like,
another dimension you died?
Yeah, so, like, what if I died, right? And then I woke up 10 seconds later in another dimension in my truck and, like, got up and my friend picked me up and I didn't get arrested and all this shit. And, like, in my old life, you know, my parents had to deal with me being dead and how that affected everyone around me then and there. But then, like, my consciousness just kept going because the universe was like, oh, you're not done yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I was talking to that somebody else who had just trekked up, I forget what the name of that big mountain in Alaska is.
I don't know the Alaskan mountain.
I heard that. It's just like one of the tallest mountains in the world. It's like one of the top 8 mountains or whatever.
I know Kilimanjaro and the Himalayas.
Heard that.
Well, all the Rockies and the Andes.
He was suggesting.
And
I talked to him about this, and he was like, "Man, what if I died up there?
Mm-hmm.
What if I died up there? And like now I'm here in this dimension and shit." So I wonder that too. Sometimes.
And I do theorize that if you die during a DMT trip, you just stay in the trip,
right?
Forever, till well, not forever, till your consciousness localizes again.
I heard that.
So, because we're all living the same consciousness because it's the same organizing principle, which is called the Jupiter principle or Chesed in Kabbalah, that caused all the minerals.
Bro, I'm pretty sure Alex Jones talks about this.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people talk about these things. We're talking about like first principles, bro. Even if they're magical or scientific or the same thing, like that's why all these religions have similar pantheons and hierarchies, because we're all freaking self-aware monkeys that have similar experiences, you know. And so we just catalog these things.
And that's what's interesting.
Language.
That like a lot of people, you meet a lot of people from around the world, and like a lot of people deal with the same, like they learn the same lesson just at different times.
Yeah.
I remember there's this one woman, I guess we were young adults at the time, but I remember like a lot of stuff happened to her when we were teenagers, and we were hanging out, and I think we were like 22 or something like that. And man, looking back, I was such a dumb motherfucker. But like I can realize that person like went through a lot, and they were behaving with like a person that was like really wise, like experienced, you know, because they had like traveled around the country, things had happened to them, and it was like, and I was still like, whatever, in my hometown, working dead end jobs, like trying to socialize and stuff, you know. It was just kind of silly. And then like seeing people that have gone through like really hard stuff versus like people that haven't gone through like any adversity. Like that's really funny when you see the woke people on college that like grew up in the rich side of town, and they're like, oh yeah, there shouldn't be any cops, and what is it, like we need to protect these poor communities by like, what is it, limiting their household, give them money and get rid of the cops and whatever, subsidize their schools and all this stuff. And it's like they think they're helping and they're just making the system worse.
Yeah, it's like you said. Well, I don't know if you said it. I think it was implied that you can't. People learn the same lessons at different times.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't try to change nobody anymore. Because when it's time, they're going to learn the lesson.
Yeah.
You know, unless I feel compelled to speak, you know. Usually I don't, because I'm just like, you know, when you're ready to change, you're going to change. You can ask me, or maybe I'll get the spiritual nudge to say something, which does happen. But generally, it's hands off. People can evolve at their own pace.
Yeah, and then like you look at people like foreigners that come here, like Nigerians or Somalians or Haitians.
Yeah.
For the black community, or Filipinos and Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Chinese, Koreans for the Asian community, and then
all the South Americans, Central Americans,
and they do better in this country than like supposedly their demographic that was born and raised here, right? Because they're like, they know they're like coming from having to boil their water and like eat 800 calories a day and like do 14 hours of manual labor versus like, oh man, what, I'm gonna wash these dishes, bro. Like, get paid, you know, more than a whole week's pay or whatever. Yeah, it's so crazy, man. Like,
yeah, you don't have to take drugs to expand your awareness. You can just travel. If you don't want to explore the inner world, you can explore the outer world and get similar lessons.
And it's hard. I understand it's hard in this country too, because a lot of people will travel across the country and not leave the States. And they'll see, like, I mean, you can eat at the same fucking restaurant, like downtown and in New York and in Miami and wherever, you know, versus like, you know, riding by pack mule or walking past like all these little shanty like huts with bars on them in like South America.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I've never been, man, so I don't know.
Dude, it's crazy. Like a good example, just go to Laredo or El Paso and look across, and you could see like a bunch of old buildings falling apart, and then like Texas. It's like, it's crazy. It's I mean, it's not as stark a difference as like North and South Korea when you watch the videos. Like one side's all lit up and the other side's all black, but you see like all those little stucco homes and the roads are all falling apart and everything. But then also people like Costa Rica is a good example. Like, it's the happiest country in the world, and they're like, when you're over there, it's like the 80s but with the internet. It's crazy. Like like everything's old, like old cars, old everything, but there's Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I heard that a lot of places around the world have Wi-Fi, and it's like you don't have to stay in America or the West if you're just worried about your Wi-Fi connection.
Yeah. But yeah, man, like, I guess I was lucky having family in Mexico and stuff, and like seeing that shit 4 times a year, and then coming back and being like, oh shit, we got AC and Whataburger and all this shit.
It's really sad too, man, with a lot of these liberal kids, is that they want to do something good. So they have that instinct and that energy, You know, unless it's completely out of like a guilt base, which sometimes some people it is. It's a neurotic thing as opposed to like an empathy thing. But
ignorance.
They've bought into the illusion,
Well,
not the person of self, but the blue pill media, you know, and all the whole government and stuff thing. So I think that, you know, ignorance of economics and other stuff like that is just, they think throwing money at the problem is going to help them, and they don't understand people.
No,
probably because they don't understand themselves.
And they don't understand that the systems want more money.
Yeah.
So if you're like, oh well, it's not working, so let's throw more money at it. It's like, oh well, now that we implemented all this new stuff and it's not giving us what we want, we should just spend more money because, you know, our budget isn't big enough. It's like, oh well, when's the budget big enough? When like the CEOs are making a shit ton of money and they're like employing a bunch of people that like help spread the lie that whatever it is that they're doing is to the benefit of the plebs or whatever, you know, like the institution is going to have its self-interest. Like there's no benevolence. There's no benevolent thing that's taking your money. I mean, you even look at religion to see that, you know, like another good example, like, well, one, this was when I heard this was terrible. Like Walmart donates more charity than the Catholic Church. Like 7 times more, you know, and then like 11 times more than the Mormon Church or some shit like that. So like really churches are just building bigger worship centers, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you look at nonprofits, a lot of them are again, self-interest. That cult that I was involved in, the Pacific Northwest, they were a nonprofit, right? And what were they doing? They were expanding their territory, spreading their woke leftism, brainwashing a bunch of kids because they had a bunch of kid programs. Same thing, Bill and Melinda Gates, like, so they can get tax breaks instead of donating to other people, they just formed their own Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, you know, so that they could spread their agenda. Like, that's why, like, if you really want to do good out there and you got a lot of money, like, start your own fucking nonprofit where you know all the money goes instead of like sending it to a bunch of corrupt people. A lot of our foreign aid, like the United States, is the biggest. We give more donations worldwide than any other country by far. And like a lot of it ends up being like pocketed, right? Because it's unaccounted for. It's like, here's a grant from the U.S. government. It's like, cool. I'm going to go like fund gorillas in the Congo or whatever, you know, like it's crazy. People have their own self-interest. There's not a lot of people in there that are going to sacrifice for the greater good. I think we touched on this on our last podcast as well.
No, I'd beware of anyone talking about the greater good, because that is how
the end of individualism.
Well, not even that's just the easiest way to manipulate someone who considers himself good or good natured. Emotion. Yeah, because in like,
which is a logical fallacy.
We're gonna take more of your money. Why are you do that? It's for the greater good.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna allow these homeless people to build tents in the streets and have crime to go up. Mm-hmm. It's for the greater good.
Yeah.
You know, we are going to control air pollution or whatever and have a tolerable amount of air pollution because it's for the greater good. Mm-hmm. We got to go into Syria and liberate these people for the greater good.
Right.
You know, and that's why after our talk, I don't identify as evil anymore. Mm-hmm. I identify as anti-good.
Anti-good.
Yeah.
Like bad.
Anti-hero, like an anti-hero like Batman. He's not a villain. He's not a hero, anti-hero. I'm not good. I'm not evil.
Yeah, but Batman doesn't kill anybody.
I'm anti-good.
I mean, well, I guess it's good.
I mean, I don't kill no people neither. Not unless I have to.
Draw the line.
You know? But no, I'm not going to try to. I mean, unless I want to get all Machiavellian and start manipulating people. Mm-hmm. But that's when I really get evil.
Right.
It's because I know it's not going to change anybody. So at that point, I'm just like stabbing people emotionally, and rubbing salt in the wound. Mm-hmm. But it's for the greater. The red pill, it burns.
I'm just thinking about like the Department of Education and how like it's utterly and terribly like failed America and its population, and like it's like, oh, well, we need more money. It's like, no, you don't. Because, like,
No, you don't.
over your track record proves that it's a failure. Or the war on drugs, great example. We've got more drug addicts in this country than at any other time in American history. And we're wasting billions of dollars funding the DEA and the, what is it, TFA or whatever.
Yeah, obviously it's not
Tobacco
working.
Yeah, so it's just like, you're just sending money to these, what is it called? Essentially the private police, dude. It's what's the word?
It's not even that. It's also
surveillance,
going
like
to
CIA,
bureaucrats,
intelligence.
man.
Yeah,
People filing paperwork to do stuff that shouldn't be difficult to do.
yeah.
Man.
Like I think the biggest time we had economic growth was in the 1800s, pre and post Civil War, and there was like little to no government agencies at all. You know, I understand like in the modern era having like intelligence agencies like the FBI and the CIA, right? But
Well, that's the core of the deep state, man.
right. Yeah, but I mean, historically, it works towards keeping power centralized, like they had secret police in Japan or China. And they even have it in fucking Avatar: The Last Airbender, bro, the Dai Li or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like
it's a fun tune, man.
But I don't know. I guess the country's falling apart, but like spies everywhere.
Good. Let it fall apart, man. Let it fall apart and come back together. So, I mean, whatever, dude. I don't care. It's like I said.
Just do well. Yeah, when I was reading The Road to Serfdom, I finished that book. And you realize that, again, I think we have talked about this the last two podcasts. Like, the arguments are the same. It's the same shit. Like, they used the word privilege in Road to Serfdom. This book was written in 1944. They used the word, socialist, right? They used the word capitalism. They used the word, I just had it. Socialist, capitalism, social justice. They used the word social justice. I think he only says it once in the whole book. Yeah. But, like, clearly these thoughts, they were having this, like, right before World War II. Like, right when all these countries were trying to create central power and central control. And you're seeing it in the United States. You're seeing it in China. You're seeing it, like, where these big countries are, like, trying to just bring it all into their hand and trying to make autocratic decisions. Like, oh, don't worry, we have your best interest in mind. And you know it's
just the ruling class, man. That's all it is.
And now, like, you have Twitter's such a good example. Twitter, I don't know about Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in years, but it's such a good example where you have, like, these woke journalists, like, praising the censorship and praising the blocking and all that, and then, like, they get canceled or they get censored or they get blocked, and they're like, why are they coming for me? I was on your side or whatever. And it's just like, well, this is what you wanted.
So you're a useful idiot.
Yeah.
And you went too hard, bro. Take it down.
Yeah, and the new one is
too much chest in your voice.
It's the sorry.
No, not you.
Journalist, right?
Journalist.
No, and the new one is the dude. I had a friend telling me like a few months ago, and I think this might have been Vash, but we were talking, and he was like, they're gonna make the passports or whatever, the vaccine passports, and you're gonna have to, like, show that you've been inoculated or whatever to leave the country or to move around the country and shit. They're talking about that shit, like, today and yesterday. I think it's weird that they're talking about vaccine passports and gun control, like, in the same week. Like,
I told you something was gonna happen.
Yeah, bro.
And, like,
and there's people that are they're just like, yes, good. We want everyone to get passports. It's all you other people that don't know, and y'all will be punished. Y'all won't be able to move around the country.
Well, fuck those people, bro.
Yeah.
They're stupid. They don't know any better, man. They're pre-programmed NPCs. They pick their tribe. They're stupid.
Which it's really, like I was saying just a few minutes ago, it's really getting me to the point where, like, I just, there's no point in caring. Because, like...
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Free your mind.
Exactly. There's no point. Like, well, one, I don't much care about what people think about me, right? Unless they're like important to me. And even then, it's like, okay, well, what's the utility of your thought? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know, man. Either people are going to listen to me. I think Ayn Rand even talks about this. It's like people are either going to like my ideas and like want to talk about my ideas, or they're not going to like my ideas and fuck them.
We can start a new podcast called The Machiavellian Monkeys.
Oh, dude.
Because a lot of my, like, all this king talk stuff goes back to that spiritual belief and that this entity is going to be left behind. So it's just like, why am I going to argue with somebody?
Yeah.
When I'm just going to be dead in, 70 years.
And you're not going to change their mind, bro. People change their own minds.
Why am I going to worry about the fall of the United States when I'm going to be dead in 70 years?
Yeah.
Hope in the ground, spread over the ground, impaled on communist pikes.
Oh, man.
Never know.
Hopefully not that one.
I mean, it'd suck, but, eventually it's over.
Dude, I wonder what's going to happen, because I feel like the road leading up to World War III. Now, this is all speculation, guys. Like, I don't know anything.
We've been in World War III for 20 years.
God. I think it's going to be... well, one, I think Europe is going to collapse before America does. Before we do infighting, Europe will have infighting. But I think it's either going to be the world against China, like the world. Like the whole world. Like the whole world was against Hitler, except for Italy or whatever. And, or like everyone against them while we infight. Like, I don't know if people would get involved. I mean, I would like to think that people would get involved, especially in funding. But I think if the U.S., if we really started a hot civil war, I don't know if people would want to, come over here. You know what I'm saying?
People don't want a civil war, except for a few, well, maybe not even just a few. Maybe there's a lot of crazies out there.
Well, I wouldn't even say crazies, bro. A lot of at least the leftist extremists.
Yeah.
The elitist extremists.
What do they call themselves?
Don't understand what's going to happen. Because war is hell, bro. They even talk, one of my favorite scenes in the movie The Patriot, or Mel Gibson's talking about, I don't want civil war.
Yeah.
Life's good here. There's going to be blood and violence in the street, dude. And I mean, I wouldn't want to be involved in that shit if it turned hot here. But, these kids going out and rioting and shit.
Yeah.
Imagine if the people there at Portland, so they were attacking that federal building for 100 days. Now imagine, bro, just imagine in your head if the feds just fucking started spraying the people in the street, and then blocking off the roads, and then
I think there'd be a lot less rioting if that were to happen, bro.
Yeah, but
people
those people would be fucked in the head. They wouldn't want to play no more. You know what I'm saying?
But what do they call themselves though?
I don't know.
Social justice
warriors.
Warriors.
Right.
What's the key word there?
Warrior.
Right. They're the foot soldiers for the Democrats.
Okay. Yeah, they're the what are they called?
For the progressives or whatever.
They're the they're not brown shirts, but what's the word?
I don't know, man.
They're a cat's paw, is what they are.
Because they can go enforce street justice. They get let off by all the legal people.
DA, yeah.
And any person who draws on them gets prosecuted.
Right.
So
and slandered. Slandered, then prosecuted.
They are the enforcers of the left.
Yeah, bro. But if it got to the point to where it was overt enough, dude, I'd be seeing a bunch of Hells Angels and Banditos, and
they're not gonna let it. They're too smart, man. I mean, there's some cracks, but
dude, if Portland,
because they're throwaway, dude. It's so easy for them if they've bring in the National Guard and we're shut this down just to show a display of strength. They could do that,
right?
If anyone could do it, it's the left.
It's the left. They're all right, shut it down. They've won. We got elected. Now kill it.
Pretty much, man.
Yeah, dude. I just can see a bunch of Hells Angels and Banditos and MS-13 murdering a bunch of people in the streets, and it wouldn't be I imagine, easy for them, as terrible it is to fantasize about that.
I mean, yeah, but they got to go against the the might of the USA.
Yeah. I mean, but
So,
would they,
I don't know, man. Like, I don't want war. I don't understand why anyone wants to rule the world.
Balkanization.
I want to live
Free.
the good life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm doing that right now.
I want to wake up, have 2 cups of coffee, maybe 1 cup of coffee. I'm feeling really good.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to go to a jam room, jam out mid-morning, or no, before that, like meditate, do my rituals, go jam, and then go do any media project where I'm producing comedy,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm producing podcasts, playing board games, video, whatever. I just want to have fun and freedom.
Yeah.
That's the, because you're already going to learn the lessons, because that's the whole point. The lessons you learn, it's all part of the hardware and software and the environment.
Right.
So it's just live.
Mm-hmm. It's part of the simulation.
Well, it's part of the mechanism, because like certain people are going to reproduce, their genes are going to get carried on.
Mm-hmm.
Certain ideas are going to reproduce and get carried on, and it is out of your control because it's a numbers game.
Right.
So it's like the lizards at my AC unit. The ones that don't run when the thing starts shaking end up dead. So you get a whole population of shaky lizards.
Yeah, and that's why we're all pessimists and anxious. It's because we had to survive in the woods before we came up with tools with a bunch of predators and shit. Like, I think Naval talks about this. It's like the reason we're all pessimists is because
there's a bigger downside.
Yeah, well, you got to survive. Like,
the
pessimists survive more than the optimists. So if like we were walking down, I think his analogy is if we're ancient man,
yeah,
and we're walking through the woods, and there's shake in the trees or whatever, and everybody goes hiding, and then like let's say you go hide and I go in there and it's a rabbit. It's like cool, and then we do that again and it's rabbit, cool, and then we do it again and it's tiger and I'm fucking dead. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but our technology has progressed so far that these kinds of like the survival game is largely
outdated.
Like it's over. Like the struggles we have, at least in Western civilization, is not.
Well, that's why we're getting pathologies. Like we're getting mental pathologies, like anxiety and
because we haven't
all that shit.
People aren't,
and the tools that we've created to like harness that anxiety and depression.
Yeah, that's why spirituality is like the ultimate technology, because you realize it's all an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
So you realize your anxiety and stuff is either part of the hardware, so it's genetic, but if you learn that it's part of the hardware, you can train your mind to like forget about it. Like if you live next to the train tracks or whatever all your life,
mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't even hear the train when it goes by.
Mm-hmm.
So like you get accustomed to the sounds, so you get accustomed to anxiety. That's just your baseline.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a negative thing anymore with like meditation techniques or whatever. Plus we're also highly programmable, and even our genetics can be programmed. Crazy stuff. So like, when people get the illusion like we don't have to fight and struggle and survive, we can switch to cooperative capitalism, because capitalism is cooperative. This might have to be for another podcast that.
Oh, I'm trying to talk about capitalism for like a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unless you want to drop bonus episode.
Oh, dude. Okay. What time we at? We're
at hour 3.
Got you. All right.
You want to take us out for the free ep?
Yeah, dude. Okay. So, first off, thank you everybody for coming. Episode 10.
Thanks a lot. Episode 10, baby.
Champagne, beautiful. We really appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell your friends if you like us. Comment below if you want to talk about stuff with us. We'll talk about it with you. Follow me on Twitter, Mario_DTW. You can follow us at dragthewaters.locals.com. And it seems like we're going to have a little special something for you. If you hop in, that's $5 entry.
All right. And I've been Aaron James, anarcho-sorcerer, anarchist cultist, whatever you want to call me. It doesn't really matter. And really appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you want to get in touch with me, the best way to do it is just leave a comment on the YouTube videos. We'll see those. And we'll catch you next time.
Cheers.